Hi, YouTube family. Lisa A. Romano here, and I'm an adult child of an alcoholic life coach. And today I want to talk about something really, really serious. So, as a life coach for specifically adult children of alcoholics and adult children from dysfunctional homes who are trying to heal, and for the most part, my clients are people who have exhausted the standards of care, like therapists and psychiatrists and medication, and they're looking for something a little bit different. And they read one of my books, or they happen upon my website, or they hear one of my videos, or they know one of my current clients, and they want to know a little bit more about the way I think and my approach to healing. Okay, that being said, lots of times the adult children of alcoholics that I coach are married and are now in really difficult marital situations like I was. I didn't know that my parents were adult children of alcoholics, and I didn't know that I was codependent, and I didn't know that I fit a certain criteria in terms of what the symptomology was of adult children of alcoholics and how I fit that like a glove. And so when I became aware of that information, I was like a dog with a bone, and I wanted to know everything there was about codependency and how to heal it and what I could do to essentially prevent my children from doing what I did. So waking up obviously was what I had to do, and waking up is what I believe I did, and I continue to nourish myself with new information constantly, every day, all day. I will never stop learning. Okay. Now, lots of my clients come to me and they ask me, should I stay or should I go? And that I can't answer that for anybody. What I can do is tell you how this stuff works. So if you're married to an alcoholic, or if you're married to someone who's addicted to drugs, or if you're married to someone who's just addicted, or if you're married to someone who is completely dysfunctional and refuses to wake up, that marriage will not survive. The only way the marriage, the pseudo-marriage, can stay intact is if you refuse to grow at an accelerated rate. And so what that means is that we have one energetic being who's like down here, and you were down here also, but now you're waking up. So now you're waking up, so you're feeling this something's wrong is going on, because now you no longer resonate. When I was first married, I was fear-based, and so was my first husband. So we were like here, we were equal. And then after, honestly, I knew I was in trouble on the hunt. I knew I was in trouble at the wedding. I'm not even joking. It was like the ring went on his finger and he turned into somebody else. I'm not kidding. So anyway, but I digress again. So we're here, right? We got two fear-based people, unaware, and we're here. And we're going through life and going through life. Now, I had a natural need and wonder for a little bit more and a little bit more. So we always had this imbalance. But because I was grounded in fear and I didn't think that I had a right to ask myself if I was happy, I always ended up back here. So when I was about 33, my body really began to fail. And I was in the doctor's office all the time. And one of my doctors said to me, and I didn't even like the guy very much, But anyway, he said to me, you better listen to your body because your body's listening to you. And I looked up at him with an oxygen mask on and I was like, what the hell does that mean? And it was the first time that I began to become aware that my body was taking instructions from somewhere inside here. Like, that was fascinating to me. So here I was with the oxygen mask thinking, and an IV going in my arm thinking, okay, I don't know what that means. Bungle figured out. So anyway, from that point on, I realized that I needed to make some changes. And fast forward, if you read my books, my ex-husband's sister got cancer. It was terrible, 28 years old, 29 years old. It was awful. I ended up taking care of her. That was awful. She passed away. That was awful. And then my ex-husband says to me one day, I don't know what you think you did for my sister. You didn't do anything for my sister. And it was like a dagger to my heart. I was like, oh my God. Like, he doesn't see me. Like, he doesn't see that I'm in pain, and he doesn't see my efforts. Like, he doesn't see anything good in me. And that's because he didn't see any good in himself. Now, I didn't know that then. I was just wounded, like, how could he say that to me? Whatever. But that was one of the nails in the coffin that was our marriage. So now what happens is I'm beginning to like move up. Like, I want to grow, and I want to grow. And when it became apparent that he was, and we went to therapy, and he came back one day, and like I write in the book, The Road Back to Me, he said to me, I don't have to change. Like, I'm not going to change. And I turned around and looked at him and I said, you know what, you're right, you don't have to change. And I was wrong to expect you to. But I have a right to grow, and I have a right to change, and I have a right to move forward, and I have a right to teach our children something other than what our parents taught us. So it was psychic cord, cut it, psychic cord, cut it, psychic cord, cut it, and I went, boom, I accelerated. Now, what happened to him was he went the other way. So it was really interesting, and that's why with my clients I talk about that line. So you want to be at ground zero, you want to be, pretty constant, and then if you move to the right of the line, that what I say is that's positive, and you move to the left, that's negative. And so he and I were like this in the center of that line, and the minute I went, whoop, whoop, okay, dude, you're right, I surrender, and I accept that you don't have to change, and you don't want to change, and I accept that I have a right to be happy. So the minute we cut that, it was like the seesaw went whoop, and I went high flying, and I grew at an accelerated rate. Now, the reason I don't think adult children of alcoholics who are married to people who are unaware, who they themselves have now become aware that they want something more and they really want to change. I don't advise that you stay in the marriage. Now, that's just my advice, because what happens is you deny yourself and you don't grow. You can't grow. Like, you can't grow when your partner, right, for life is down here and he's fighting with you every turn. Would you look at me like that for? You're crazy. Everyone thinks you're crazy. Why should I listen to you? When you live in that type of adversarial atmosphere, you have to be on guard. You got your fists up. And so what that does is sends out these electromagnetic messages from your atoms, and that changes you on a vibrational level. And now what happens is these little children that you have, they're experiencing you. They're experiencing your anxiety, and they are absorbing that energy. They're absolutely absorbing that energy. That's what they are. They're receptors. And so we're transmitting and they're receiving. They're transmitting and we're and we're transmitting and they're receiving. And vice versa, but primarily in this powerful situation where a child knows that mom and dad are bigger and stronger and smarter, a child comes into this experience knowing, I need to absorb this, and they don't have any filters, so they're just absorbing this information in the form of energy, and it's getting translated by their brain through their emotional body and processed to mean things. And so what happens is they're not aware, because when human beings come to planet Earth, they fall asleep, like a great sleep falls upon them, and they don't know that they're atoms, ATOMS, and they don't know that they have the ability to be grounded. They don't know that. Chakra meditations that are rooted in, grounding meditations, really, 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 really important. You're trying to ground yourself to Gaia, to Mother Earth. You're trying to ground yourself, and so that you can become like a conduit for pure positive energy. So now the issue is when you are in a dysfunctional marriage and you're acting like everything's okay. It don't matter how good you make it look. It don't matter how nice your lawn looks. It don't matter how nice your house looks. It doesn't matter how many jewels you got around your neck, girl. It don't matter. It doesn't matter. Your children are picking up on what you're emitting from your heart. They are absorbing that. And so I don't care if they've got ponies in the yard. I don't care if they've got BMWs and Benzes in the driveway. It means nothing. To have an anxiety-riddled child who gets to ride around in an Audi or BMW means nothing, because that kid's headed for trouble, because that kid's grounded in anxiety and anger and resentment and frustration. So, that stuff, material stuff, means nothing when the being themselves is so unhappy. So, I was a woman who had it all. When I was married to my first husband, I had everything that anybody could ever want, and I was miserable. And I was under that illusion where I'll make everything look nice. I'll make everything look nice, because that's what my mother did, and I'll suffer inside. And the amazing thing happened when I let what was inside out and I threw up all over everybody. Said, I'm not happy. I can't stay here. I gotta get out. I gotta teach my kids something else. All of that came out, and my outer world turned inside out. And it looked terrible from looking at it, objectifying it, it looked terrible. But the reality was, I felt peace inside. And that's when I realized that once I became peaceful because I told my truth, the truth shall set you free. That all these messages are in the Bible, by the way. If you take religion out of it, like the Bible's amazing in terms of what it can share. But anyway, when my root chakra became aligned with my throat chakra, my heart chakra, and my third eye chakra, and all my energies came into alignment, and I finally spoke my truth, because that's what truth is. Truth is energy alignment. And so when I finally told the truth, although the outer world looked crazy, I felt wonderful. And then I began to realize that my relationships with my children improved. My relationships with some of my friends improved, and some other ones deteriorated because I was telling the truth now. And so the relationships that were good got better, and the relationships that weren't so good just started to fall apart. And that's sort of like, that's all par for the course. You know, when you want to live in truth, then you have to take responsibility for the energetic vibe of the people in your life. And so if you have negative friends, that is going to, you're sharing quantum space with them. And so there will be this exchange, electron exchange, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And so the longer you stay in marital situations where it's negative, then you're exchanging back and forth, back and forth. That is absolutely affecting you on an internal and energetic level. And that becomes the point at which you are transmitting. That determines what you're transmitting. And that determines what shows up in your environment. So I really hope that this has answered some of your questions. I've had quite a number of YouTube viewers in the past few days actually email me. In about 7 days or so, 2 or 3 people have actually emailed me the same type of a question, and that's why I wanted to address it in the video. So should you stay or should you go? If the other person's willing to grow with you, I think that's worth trying. Turn over every stone. You just don't want to get up and get divorced. You need to know if this person's willing to grow with you. If this person isn't willing to grow with you and change their standpoint, their emotional standpoint, which is their grounding point, if they're not willing to change that. So here we are, one more time on my diagram. Forgive me, dear ones, but this is really important. So this is an atom, and so if the person that you're with isn't willing to change literally their molecular structure, if they're not willing to go from being a negative person to a more positive person, a more selfish person to a more giving, loving person, to a more humble person rather than an arrogant, self-narcissistic, self-loving, in a negative way, type pathological way, person, if they're not willing to be more honest, because honesty is positive. So if they're not willing to give up being deceitful, if they're not willing to be honest, then they're not willing to, basically on a quantum level, on a scientific level, they're not willing to change what they're emitting. So that means that they are not going to change. And that means if you stay in their environment, you have to, in order to stay in that relationship, you must ground yourself with their energy. It could be no other way. It can be no other way. It can be no other way. So I know a lot of people have difficulty thinking about ending a toxic relationship. Okay, then don't think about it in an emotional sense. Think about it in a quantum sense. If I stay, what's happening on a quantum level? If I stay with a negative person, what's happening to me? You're grounding yourself in negative energy. And then guess what? That's what you're going to be emitting, and that's what you're going to be receiving. And so your third eye will see everything negative in your environment instead of things that are positive. It can be no other way, because as it is below, so shall it be above. So what you are within on a quantum level, what you are energetically, is what you perceive through your third eye out there. And that's also what you project. So on a quantum level, it don't make sense to stay with somebody who's dysfunctional if they ain't going to change. You know, so... Anyway, my name is Lisa A. Romano. I am a life coach and a best-selling author, and my books are The Road Back to Me, My Road Beyond the Codependent Divorce. Yay, I got over it. Loving the Self-Affirmations. Yes, I love me, and I love you. I love you because I love me. And Quantum Tools to Help You Heal Your Life Now, which talks about all these set points. Namaste, everybody. Bye.